Hello and welcome to 5th grade Unit 4 notes. Make sure you have your note sheet ready and have a notebook. There's going to be some concepts in this video that are not on the note sheet. Here we go. For the first part, we're going to talk about multiplying decimals. Your very first step in multiplying decimals is to forget about the decimal. So we're going to convert 2.47 to 247. We're going to convert 3.2 to 32. Then we're going to multiply as if these were whole numbers. Once we multiply them, we add our partial products together and we get 7904. The next step that we're going to do is count how many digits are after the decimals. And we're going to count them in both numbers. So I had a 4, a 7, and a 2. So that is 3 digits after the decimal. So I'm going to then start on the end of my number and move my decimal in 3 spots. So my answer comes out being 7.904. There's an example problem. You can pause the video and give it a try and then resume to check your answer. All right, we're going to do this problem with the area model boxes. We have 200 plus 4, because if it was 204, or 204, we could do it that way. And then we draw our box. We draw our line at the plus. We would have 143, so we're going to do 100 plus 40 plus 3. We draw our lines at the boxes, or at the plus signs, I mean. All right, now we multiply our area. 2 times the 1 is a 2, and we have 4 zeros that we weren't looking at there. So this one is 20,000. The next one is 4 times 2, which is 8. And I have 3 zeros, so that one's 8,000. The next one is 3 times 2, which is 6. And I get 100. This next box is 4 times 1. And then 2 zeros, so 400. 4 times 4 is 16 with 1 0. And 3 times 4 is 12. If I add up my first column, I get 28,600. And then I'm going to add that to my side amount here, which is 572. I'm going to add these together. Oh, that one should be a 1. Let's fix that there. Carry our 1. We get a 9 and a 2. All right, now we count how many are after the decimal. We do have to count this 0 because there was a digit after it. So we have 2 on this side, and we have 1 on this side, making it a total of 3. So we're going to start on the end. We're going to go in 1 spot, 2 spots, 3 spots, and our answer ends up being 29.172. The next thing we're going to talk about is powers of 10. This is where we're going to start looking into exponents. Exponents are these little numbers after something. We've already worked with exponents when we've talked about the label of area being in squared units. Now we're looking at it with a number. So powers of 10, that little number really is just telling us how many zeros we have after the 1. So if I have 10 to the 0 power, that means I have 0 tens. So my value for this one would end up being 1 because I would get rid of that 0. 10 to the 1, that means the 1 tells me I have 1 0 in my number, so I get 10. 2 to the power of 2 means that I have 2 zeros. To the power of 3, 3 zeros. To the power of 4, 4 zeros. To the power of 5, 5 zeros. Because what these powers really mean is I multiply that big number by itself however many times the small exponent number says. Now, when we're dealing with exponential numbers in powers of 10, if we are multiplying, it works pretty slick because all we need to do is move the decimal. So if we take a look at the next one here, each place value is 10 times bigger or smaller than the one next door. So we can look at the exponent, in this case it's 3, and determine that we need to move our decimal 3 spaces. Because we're multiplying by a whole number of 10, our number is going to get bigger. So we move the decimal to the right, which then means we are moving the digits to the left. In this curriculum, they really like to talk about the digits moving, not the decimals moving. And so if you know the decimal moves one direction, the digits move the opposite direction. So in this one, if I have the 5 moved over one spot to the left, I know that I multiplied by 10. And it moved one spot, so it's 10 to the first power. The next one, if I have that 2, I'm going to move that decimal 2 spots. It now is after the 2, so I get an answer of 52. The next one has an exponent of 3, so I'm going to move my decimal 3 spots to the right, which means I moved my digits 3 spots to the left. So I get an answer of 520. Anytime I ended up with that open loop, then I put a 0 in. Estimation of multiplication with decimals. So when we're estimating, we're trying to just get to a quick math fact problem. So I don't want to deal with 4.4. Instead, I'm going to round it to the nearest whole number. Because the 4 tells me I'm staying, the other 4 is going to stay a 4. 7 tells me to go up, so the 2 goes up to a 3. So then I have 4 times 3 is 12. Now, if I truly were to multiply my problem, I should get an answer close to 12. Let's take a look at an example. If I have 8.8, this 0.8 is going to tell that 8 what to do, and it's saying to go up. So we want to go up to 9. The next one, we want to round to the nearest whole number, so that 0 is telling us what to do, and the 0 says 8, you should stay. And then we have 9 times 8, which is 72. So our answer, when we actually multiply 8.8 times 8.05 together, we should get an answer pretty close to 72. This is a great way to check to see, is your answer reasonable or is it not reasonable? Rounding decimals, we kind of just did a little bit with that. We take a look, it says round to the nearest tenth. I like to put a 10 above tenth. I also like to underline the TH because TH tells me it's after the decimal. Remember, the 1 is the decimal. Any of the zeros are how many places after the decimal. So I'm going to underline the 1 spot after the decimal, which means the number after it tells it what to do, and 9 says go up. So the 2 is going to go up to a 3. Everything before it's going to stay the same. Everything after that place value goes away. So if we're rounding to the nearest tenth, I should not have any digits after the tenths place value. For the next one, the 6, the 3 tells it what to do. 3 is saying to stay, so we get 0.6. The next one says to the nearest hundredth. And again, we got that TH. So if I write 100, the decimal is the 1. Each 0 is a place value. So now I'm in the second spot after the decimal. So the first one, it's the 6. The 0 tells it what to do. The 0 says you should stay. So it's 0 point, everything in front of it stays. 4, and the 6 is staying. And then everything after that underlined digit goes away. We have the 5. The 6 tells it to go up. So we have 0.2, and the 5 went up to a 6, and then we're going to stop where that underline was. In this unit, you're going to see the properties. We've talked about these properties quite a bit over the years in math. But a refresher, the commutative property just means that we can change the order from which we multiply. So if we did 3 times 4, we can do 4 times 3. This also means that if we have more than 2 numbers, if they're all multiplication, we can change the order and it's not going to change the answer. The associative property is when we change where or what we group together. And usually what we change is things that group together more easily. So we might want to group together, if we're working in decimals, numbers that would create a whole. Same with when we were working with fractions. We want things that create a whole. The identity property is that the number that's getting multiplied by 1 is whatever that number is. And then the 0 property, anything times 0 is 0. So those are some properties to pay attention to. The distributive property, that pass out rainbow property, also might creep in too, so make sure you know that one. All right, it's your turn to practice. Try these problems. Resume the video when you're ready to check your answers. Make sure you watch the whole video. All right, welcome back. The first one, that exponent tells us how many spots we are moving the decimal. Because there's no decimals in the number of 36, we know that the decimal is at the end of it. So we would move it one more time, and because it's times 10, it's going to get bigger, so 360. The next one, the exponent tells us we're moving it 2 spots, or in this case, we can just add 2 zeros after it. And then the last one, it's to the 3rd power, so we can add 3 zeros after it. When we're multiplying by the power of 1, that is our identity property, so it stays 96. When we're multiplying by a decimal portion, if we moved that decimal to make it 1, we would have to move the other one the same amount in the opposite direction. So in this case, the digits are moving to the right, the decimal is moving to the left. This would also be like if we were dividing by numbers. So the first one, because it's right next to the decimal, we're moving it 1 spot in, so it's 9.6. The next one is 2 spots away from the decimal, so we're going to move the decimal in 2 spots, which makes it 0.96. If we multiply out our numbers, we're going to first forget about the decimals. So we'll do 43 times 18. We get 774. We then count how many digits are after the decimal. We have a 4, a 3, and an 8, so that is 3 digits. So we start at the end and we move our decimal in 3 spots. So we end up with an answer of 0.774. For the next one, Tyreek is building his dog a bed, and he wants the width of his dog bed to be 0.55 times as long as the length. If the length is 1.5 meters, how wide will the bed be? So we know the length is 1.5, so we're going to multiply these together. We forget about the decimals, we multiply, then we count how many digits. The 5, and another 5. That's 3 digits, so we're going to move the decimal in 3 spots. And we end up with an answer of 0.825 meters. The next one, the digits in the number 6.2 should be shifted 2 spots or 2 places to the right. So the digits themselves are going to go this way because 0.01 is less than a whole. So our answer is going to get smaller, not bigger when we multiply. So we move the digits 2 places to the right because we moved the decimal 2 places to the left. Remember, decimals and digits are opposite of each other. So the product is 0.062. Rewatch the video if you need to. Otherwise, I Excel the skills plan for grade 5 unit 4. The Math Activity Center of lesson checks are great additional resources to make sure you're ready to go. Good luck.